Good morning, students. In the last class, we have started discussing about nucleus. Okay, nucleus, it is the central spherical structure in the cell. We have discussed about chromosomes, chromatin. Chromosomes are the condensed form, and chromatin is the thin thread-like entangled mass form. Chromosomes are, what are chromosomes? Thick, rod-like, condensed form. Of genetic material. Which is present during cell division. Chromatin is, what is chromatin? Thin thread-like entangled mass form which is present when cell is not dividing. So these are the two types of forms of genetic material. And what do they contain? Chromosomes contain protein and DNA. So chromosomes are made up of what? Protein and DNA. DNA is the actual genetic material that contains information for the inheritance of features as well as information for the expression of different characters. So each functional segment of DNA is called what? Functional segment of DNA is called gene. So chromosomes contain many such genes. And what are the functions of nucleus? It plays a central role in cellular reproduction. What is cellular reproduction? What is cellular reproduction? If from one organism daughter organisms are formed, that is called reproduction of organisms. If daughter cells are formed from the already existing cell by cell division, that is called cellular reproduction. The cell division which results in the formation of daughter cells from the already existing cell, is known as cellular reproduction. So cellular reproduction is controlled and coordinated by the information present in the nucleus. So as per your textbook, what is cellular reproduction? The process by which single cell divides and forms two new cells. Okay. The process by which a single cell divides and form two new new cells is called cellular reproduction. That is your textbook definition, right? Cellular reproduction. The process by which a single cell divides and forms two new cells. Two new cells is known as cellular reproduction. Right. Is nucleus going to play the key role only in the cellular reproduction? Nucleus, it determines the way of cellular development and the functional expression of the cell at its maturity. So total 3 things are going to be controlled by nucleus. First, cellular reproduction. Second one is cellular development. And third one, the form of the cell at its final maturity. Cellular reproduction is decided by nucleus. Cellular development is decided by nucleus. The form of the cell at its final maturity also is decided by nucleus. Okay. And how all these things are going to be controlled by nucleus? It is by directing the chemical activities of the cell. Okay. Nucleus, it directs the chemical activities of the cell. By directing the chemical activities of the cell, nucleus controls the cellular reproduction, cellular development, and it decides the form of the cell at its final maturity. Right. Is nucleus going to be present in all types of cells? No. Nucleus, which we have discussed, the central spherical region that is covered by double-layered membrane, is known as nucleus. This nucleus is not going to be present in all of the cells. Nucleus, it is present in some cells and it is not present in some cells. Like bacteria. In bacteria, nucleus is absent. But nucleus-like region is present. Nucleus-like region is present. Okay. So, oid means alike. So it is nucleus-like. So it is called nucleoid. So in bacteria-like organisms, where nucleus is absent, the nucleus-like region is called nucleoid. Okay. And it is not completely fully organized like nucleus. It is very poorly organized. Okay, it is undefined nuclear region, and it contains only nucleic acid. Okay, so what is nucleoid? Undefined nuclear region that contains only nucleic acids. The undefined nuclear region that contains only nucleic acids is known as nucleoid. And this nucleoid is not going to contain any nuclear membrane. Simply to speak, nucleoid, it lacks nuclear membrane. Nucleoid lacks nuclear membrane. The organisms in which the cells lack nuclear membrane are called prokaryotes. Organisms in which cells lack nuclear membrane are called prokaryotes. Pro means primitive or primary. Karyote means nucleus. Karyote or karyon means nucleus. The organisms that contain the cells which lack the true nucleus and contains only nucleoid are called prokaryotes. Pro means primitive. Karyote means karyon, that is nucleus. What is prokaryote? The organisms whose cells lack nuclear membrane. Organisms whose cells lack nuclear membrane are called prokaryotes. Example: bacteria. In contrast to this, U means true. Karyote, as already discussed, karyon, that is nucleus. So, eukaryotes the organisms which contain true nucleus are called eukaryotes, or as per your textbook definition, organisms with cells having a nuclear membrane are called eukaryotes. The organisms with cells having a nuclear membrane. Cells having a nuclear membrane are called eukaryotes. Example: animal cells, plant cells, etc. Is that the only difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes? So the difference, first difference what you have learnt is prokaryotes lack nuclear membrane, eukaryote cells they have nuclear membrane. Is that the only difference or any other differences also there? There are some other differences also between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes, they do not contain membrane-bound cytoplasmic organelles. Prokaryotes do not contain membrane-bound cytoplasmic organelles like mitochondria, plastids, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. Whereas eukaryotes, they contain membrane-bound cytoplasmic organelles. Then, how the functions are carried out in prokaryotes? The functions of the eukaryotic organelles are performed by poorly organized parts of the cytoplasm in prokaryotes, whereas the functions are effectively performed by the well-organized cytoplasmic organelles in eukaryotes. In the case of eukaryotes, the chlorophyll is present in green colored plastids known as chloroplasts, whereas in prokaryotes, where not all, some prokaryotes they carry out photosynthesis. So in such prokaryotes, the chlorophyll is associated with membranous vesicles or bag-like structures, but not like in eukaryotic plastids. So these are some differences between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So prokaryotes and eukaryotes, let us see the differences. Prokaryotes and eukaryotes. First difference, lack nuclear membrane. They have nuclear membrane. They lack cytoplasmic organelles. They have cytoplasmic organelles. Functions are performed by what? Poorly organized parts. Poorly organized parts. Here, functions are performed by cytoplasmic organelles. Chlorophyll is associated with the membranous vesicles. In photosynthetic bacteria. It is present in plastids. Chlorophyll is present in plastids. And other differences are single chromosome is present. Here, more than one chromosomes is present. Next, cells are very small. Prokaryotic cells are very small. Eukaryotic cells are big, very big, like 1 to 10 micrometer. Only 1 to 10 micrometer in size. 1 to 10 micrometer in size, prokaryotic cells. Whereas eukaryotic cells 5 to 100 micrometer size. 5 to 100 micrometer in size. Okay, next class let us discuss about cytoplasm and cytoplasmic organelles.